I'm Gail C., Director of Curriculum and Professional Learning here at ASD. This week I'd like to talk to you about the fact that we are a learning community, and that means not just students learning, but teachers learning also. Recently, over spring break, we had 22 of our teachers attend the Near East South Asia Council of Overseas Schools conference that was held in Bangkok. What I've done this week is I've interviewed a few of our teachers to just give you a little snippet of some of the learning that they came back with. So please enjoy what our teachers have to say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alan Little, and I teach middle school 7th grade mathematics here at the American School of Doha. And at the NISA conference in Thailand 2 weeks ago, I attended the brain research seminar by John Almarodi, and it was really a game changer for me. It was one of the most powerful presentations I've been to. He was one of the first presenters of his stature to really teach what he was teaching, and in this brain-based research that he's done, he taught us the content and the methods that we should use to present it. And it was just a very, very powerful experience. And because of that, I've been able to reflect on my practices here in the classroom and really make some changes to it that I think will benefit the students. He talked about how the brain generates dopamine, which is a powerful, basically a stimulant that produces feelings of happiness. And so there are some techniques that we can use in the classroom that not only increase the dopamine, but also help students retain the information that we're getting and move it from short-term knowledge to short-term memory to long-term memory. And so some of the techniques I'm using right now is having the kids say thank you to each other as they're sharing information. They get up and move around the class much more often now because that's something the brain needs to function better. I'm limiting kind of sections of what I do to 5 to 8 minutes. And so these practices are already in my class, and I hope I'm seeing positive results from them.
Hi, I'm Rosanna Lever. I teach 8th grade math at ASD, and I went to the Spring NISA conference in Bangkok. I appreciated all the speakers that were there. I appreciated our time spent alongside them between and during conference time. And one of the things that I found valuable was a keynote by Kelly King. She was interesting in her explanation of differences of brain between girls and boys. I found that very, very evident in life and very realistic. And one of the things that I took back from that is that boys and girls are often motivated with different things, and we as teachers need to be aware of that. One other take back that I had was really good in science, actually. I went to a physics first workshop, which surprisingly was valuable for math, and I guess not surprisingly. But what we found by talking about math and physics hand in hand was really a good conversation. I came back with some links and websites for animating science lessons in a mathematical way. So it was a very valuable time trying to tie the two disciplines together.
Okay. Good morning, I'm Katie Houston. I teach elementary Spanish at ASD, and I attended the NISA conference in Bangkok. I attended Christine Brown's session on assessing the impact of standards within the United States and the European Union on language teaching. We had lots of great dialogue. It was a small, intimate group of foreign language teachers, which we normally don't get the opportunity to get together. We really talked about getting our students to become proficient in the language, because it's becoming more and more common for people to have to get up and actually give presentations in their second or even their third language. We also talked about different assessments and really getting our students to use all the 4 proficiencies in terms of reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
Hi, my name is Rob Gore. I'm the associate principal here in the middle school. Recently, I just returned from a trip to Bangkok for the NISA Spring Conference, Educators Conference. And one of the things that I had learned there is there was a speaker named Doug Reeves who talked a little bit about implementing action plans and how that can help us to guide the work that we do here in school. It was very affirming for me to see that a lot of the things that were talked about we've already initiated here at the school. Our teachers are engaged in collecting data on their practices in the classroom, and we use that to help guide instruction. What Doug Reeves had talked about is actually using this as a vehicle to further improve some of the, some of the initiatives we have in place. It's a framework that we could use that's a little bit more structured in terms of where we're going and what we'd like to do in the future. So that was one thing that I really enjoyed. Another conference session that I had gone to was visiting Damien Cooper, who talked a little bit about assessment on learning. And again, this follows up with some of the conversations we've had in the past with Ken O'Connor, Tom Gusky, and the likes. It was interesting to talk with other like-minded educators as well to find out what was going on in their schools and similar issues and challenges that they've been facing. So I've received quite a bit of positive feedback regarding what we're doing in our school in terms of our practices, and we look forward to building on that in the future.
Hello, Diane Ritter, and I'm an high school IB art teacher as well as middle school, and I recently attended the NISA Teachers Conference. I went to a workshop 8 hours long on brain neurosciences and new research, and some fantastic stuff presented by a physics teacher named John Emerald, and he broke a lot of the myths and stereotypes that we have about the brain and about learning. A lot of really practical applications were shared. Little tricks, little techniques that actually motivate and captivate and energize kids and keep them active 100% of the time. The brain is actually very flexible and it can change. And as teachers, we need to realize the important role that we have in setting that kind of learning environment for our kids. We used to think genetics weighed more than the nurturing or the environmental aspects. However, that's not true. 67% is really due to the environment, and we are responsible for creating that kind of learning situation. So through the workshop, I learned a lot of little techniques which basically are physical, and they get the brain stimulated. They serve as a food for thought and get everybody activated. And I've applied it with my 7th graders, and they take to it like it's just an incredible experience. They've really done a lot with it, and I find it very exciting.